When you when you rewatch it, you can put it on like double speed or like 1.5.
Totally. That's a good idea.
PDA meetings that I've missed.
I like that idea.
There you go. And it's recorded. So Davis.
There you go. This is for you, Davis.
Turn on the chipmunks.
You get to watch me. All right. So screen share. Yes. Okay. So let's go to PFD. All right. So everyone should have this uninspiring presentation that I made. I'm just really not good with graphics. And I'm like, I don't know how much time I want to spend trying to make this look pretty, but if anybody wants to make it look nicer, that's just like not.
Oh, wait, before we get going.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh, I know. I was going to just say, what do you all, okay.
Sorry. I was
just give me 1 minute of a discussion on this while Crystal starts trying to figure out how to shoot or whatever.
Figure out how to press play.
On Zooms, when someone has a presentation, it really, I mean, I know we can change our views maybe, but it really maximizes people looking at a presentation of words or videos or images, and it minimizes like the looking at the presenter and other people. I don't know. How do you feel about like sharing the presentation like in the chat and letting people open it if they want and screen share it? Or how do we feel about like telling people, because I think you can change it, like to change their view so that the presentation isn't so like big and you see humans more. I don't know. Does that make sense? I guess I'm just kind of sick of like just seeing PowerPoints, whether it was in the classroom or whether it's on Zoom. But that was a whole minute, so you can also tell me to shut up and just start.
No, although it is rather amusing to watch what people are doing during presentations.
Well, and it's hard to do though, right? When everyone's a tiny little bubble up on the top, instead of like watching everyone interact with each other as we're, I don't know. How do you feel? Is that just, this is obviously a bigger fish to fry than our little run through. It's like the problems with Zoom presentations.
I know. I feel like,
okay.
Yeah, I feel like for us to make it as simple as possible, having the slideshow makes it easy for us to be able to.
It does
go through it.
It's for us speakers. Yeah, I agree.
I know. It's actually like, I'm like, oh, I love this because now I don't have to like glance up at the screen behind me. What was I gonna say now? Anyway.
It does make our lives as presenters easier. Okay, so is that a full on like 5-0 vote? Just
well, I was gonna say, I mean, I think it just brings up the question, like, if that's your style, you can say, here's the link, you can follow along and I'll tell you which slide I'm on. But unless there's something to show them, like filling out the example on the website, you can just say, hey, I'm just going to talk through this and stop me if you have questions.
That's true. Yeah. And maybe make it, depending on your style, more interactive.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And, I think it's just like, you can choose if you think certain slides are important to have as a visual reference versus less. So that's how I would approach it.
No, it's a good point.
Yeah. I think better to just leave it to the teams to, I think, let them sort of figure it out. I mean, the thing is, you give them the link and then some are going to open that link, and how's that going to be any different? Then they're going to be juggling with a couple of windows open on their laptop, which sometimes,
and then they're like, excuse me, what slide are you on? So that's true.
Yeah, but I hear what you're saying. It certainly is. I was just looking into, I use MS Teams more than I use Zoom, and obviously you're somewhat limited in terms of the presentation. The side-by-side speaker alongside slides, the speaker is just a small, just a little window compared with the big window for the presentation. It doesn't seem like you can flip them round or anything.
No, there's like that one, you can like adjust the size a little, like you can stick your cursor in there and adjust it a little. Listen, I already took up more time than I should be allowed to talk about this. I want Crystal, I want to go through the slides because we're all going to be using them. So it is important. So I feel bad that I brought it up, but it's more of a potential crisis of Zooming than anything.
All right. So welcome to Phillipstown Fights Dirty 101. We are going to go over what is Phillipstown Fights Dirty, how it works, what is the Phillipstown Climate Fund, and then we're going to go through some real life examples of how your neighbors have pledged, and then we're going to leave lots of times for question and answers and just talk about some of our upcoming events. And I probably, I guess I should like introduce, well, we should have like a little blurb about Climate Smart. I think, do I have that in there? No, I don't know. Should we? I don't know.
You have the logo somewhere, but yeah, you should say in the beginning
Yeah.
that Phillipstown Fights Dirty is a project of the Climate Smart Task Force.
Yeah, okay, yes, we should definitely have that in there. Okay, so why Phillipstown Fights Dirty? The town pledged to reach carbon neutrality by 2040. That means all of us need to cut our carbon emissions by 1 ton per person per year until 2040. The good news is that if you're feeling down about the climate news, if you've read the latest UN report, action can be the antidote to despair. And working together as a community, we can make this happen. As you'll notice, family from Garrison pledged. So what can I do to fight climate change? So the average household in Phillipstown lives in a 2,000 square foot house, runs 2 cars, burns 1,000 gallons of oil a year, eats 4 servings of meat a day, and has an annual income of 127,000 for families.
Wait,
So-
how do you know that? I don't have a 2,000 square foot home. Where'd you get this fake news?
Wait a minute, is this from our survey, or is this like
Yeah.
actual? This is
No,
from
this
our
is
survey.
from our survey data.
Okay,
Well, it's
thank
from
you.
either survey or census, yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. This information is from our survey from 2019, or is it 2020?
2019, I think.
Okay, from 2019 survey and
Or the
2019
census.
Or the census.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, just in case anybody asks.
Justin, do you remember, do you remember how many respondents we got?
I'll look it up while Crystal's
Okay.
talking. It was, I can't remember. I'm thinking 2 something, which is not a lot, but I hope that's
Yeah.
more than that. So I'll look.
But that's a representative sample, right?
That's a-
It's representative in like the statistical world, but
Right,
we
that's what I
we
meant.
all know that it's skewed towards climate
Right.
interested people.
Yeah.
And maybe they have
Self-selecting respondents, yeah.
So if you find that you are above average, then aim to cut more than 1 ton per person, and you can donate to the Phillipstown Climate Fund to help lower income neighbors take action. And we'll describe the Phillipstown Climate Fund in a little bit. So this is just an example of we have this trifold. I have a blurry background. We have a trifold that you can pick up at the libraries. I think you can pick it up at both libraries, right? And I dropped them off at I'll make sure to drop them off again before this, so they have access. So we have,
and Peter has plenty too, don't worry.
okay, so I'll make sure that there's at the libraries. Okay, so this screen shot is of a trifold that has over 80 different actions that you can take, pledge actions you can take, and you can pick up a hard copy at any of the libraries, or we will go through another, what am I saying? Or you can pledge online, but this is a good example of all the different pledge items you can take. There are over 80 actions to choose from. If you're not sure where to start, you can start by calculating your carbon emissions, also known as your carbon footprint. And if you go to our website, should I actually click on the website and show people the carbon tracker? Let's see. All right. If you go to,
I think that
I think
that depending on who signs up and shows up, you know, you can ask like who
wants to
does
know.
anyone want me to click? I'm clicking if even one person wants to know, and then click on it. If you
Okay.
feel like you don't want to click on it for any reason, yeah.
So just to go over just a few representative examples in how many categories is it? I'm trying to remember now. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, that's a good point. We should
Yeah.
all review the website before we do this.
Yeah. So there are the actions are broadly I'm going to have to practice this a lot more. They're under several different categories. So for instance, you can change what you eat, replace beef with pork, cut out dairy, shop locally, plant a vegetable garden. You can change your home. So you could switch from oil-based heating, sorry about that. So oil-based heating to heat pumps, weatherize your home, install a solar hot water heater. You can change the way you shop, purchase locally, purchase used clothing, stop using single-use plastic, and buy as much as you can in a real store, preferably, and reduce your reliance on online shopping. You can change how you get around. So you can replace your gas SUV or truck for an electric vehicle. You could advocate for local schools to transition to electric buses. You could reduce your annual air travel by about 500 miles. You can change what you waste. So you can reduce, reuse, recycle in that order. Divert 1 bag of trash to recycling each week. Reduce waste by fixing or repurposing things, or reduce food waste. And you could change your finances. So put your money where your mouth is. Divest personal investments from fossil fuel companies. Support local economies by opening an account with a local credit union, and open a savings account and spend less. And you can volunteer your time. You can call elected officials, ask them to support climate-friendly policies. You could help establish Phillipstown Conservation Corps, or be a block leader and sign other neighbors to join the Phillipstown Fights Dirty too. So how to pledge. Okay, so now's the fun part. Now we're gonna go through, oh, this is not clickable. Good job, me. Good job, me. I'll have to make sure that's clickable.
This is why you had the good idea of a dress rehearsal.
Dress rehearsal. So we just clicked on this link, and now we're going to hear real life example of a person in Phillipstown pledging to fight dirty. So how do we do it? Here is the lovely website. We go to click on pledge. Hopefully my Wi-Fi is faster. Okay, here we go. All right, pledging to take action. So I'm going to scroll down. I am a household, and I'm pledging.
Wait, just quickly, Crystal, since these are tag team presentations,
Yep.
Do you think that maybe as we transition to the, the second person should take this up, or
Yeah,
anything like that? Yeah.
that would be
I
my inclination.
That's what I think. I think so too.
Mm.
Okay.
And then, maybe what we could do is like whoever is presenting, the other co-presenters monitoring the chat, so that if there's questions and stuff at the end, we can,
I agree.
be sure to answer them. I mean, if questions pop up in the middle, I don't know if we should wait. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but my inclination with the questions is not to get bogged down too
Yeah.
much with questions as you go. I mean, I think I would kind of say, well, we'll take some questions at the end of the initial presentation, more of clarification as to what's been said, and then go through the demo and maybe take some more questions at the end.
Yeah. Okay.
My other thought, and this is one thing that I'm just a little bit concerned about, and that is that obviously, we're all doing a lot of this stuff already.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea of cutting this, that, and the other is all kind of second nature to us. And I'm just kind of a little bit wary. There are going to be some people that think, whoa, these guys are kind of gone way overboard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I can't possibly cut what these guys are suggesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just not sure whether I would literally do a blow by blow real account of what I do, what I cut back on, because it might just put.
You mean at this point as you're going through, or do you mean with Crystal's previous slides of
so
like?
If it's Kristen and I doing tag team, she says, "So Paul, what are you doing then?" And I kind of jump in, and then I start to say, "Well, I only run one car, and we've done 60,000 miles in the last 12 years, and so on and so on." People are going to be thinking, "Well, I need my car to get to work, and I need to get around, and there's no way I'm going to get by with one car." No, I guess all I'm saying is I think we need to be sensitive to the fact that some people are really only just starting to make this journey. Whereas, I don't know, you may have different views. It's just a thought.
at the beginning of the presentation, you say 1 ton per year, and then a number of the actions have the amounts. So maybe it's worth saying, wow, you do this, look, this one is worth a half a ton. If you do this and pair it with something else, then you've reached your goal for the year. Like help people do a little bit of the math
Mm-hmm.
to see
I guess ultimately it'll be down to
how they
the
reach
tag
it. Like you don't
team.
have to do all
Yeah,
of them.
Yeah.
I think we can share some strategies as to how to do it, and
Yeah.
then leave it to the duo to decide on the day how best to play it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
I
I
think
do
what-
quite like the idea of Crystal saying, "Hey, Paul, so what? Tell us a little bit about what you're doing." And I just kind of talk through a couple of things, but
Yeah.
maybe I would tone it back just a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
because I don't want to frighten people.
I actually think that's a good idea, Paul. Maybe what we should do is like, maybe we only choose 5 things, right? So I'll go through my example, and I feel like
Okay.
let's not overwhelm people with like, and I'm gonna do all 50 actually. Like, maybe just choose 5, and like every week, whoever's doing it will choose different ones. So you could theoretically, like, but also not overwhelm people, and kind of maybe walk people through your thought process a little, if that makes sense.
And do you think it also at all makes sense to remind people that although this is obviously a very urgent
Mm-hmm.
kind of fix we all have to make, that this is a long-term like, project in our community. And so you do 1 ton a year. It may not seem like a lot once you start looking at the numbers, but it's actually is helpful at helping our goal. Something like that, that just is like, remember, this is a 20-year project. So you can't do it all in year 1.
Yeah.
And we don't expect
Yeah.
anything.
And
I would say also to add to that, also say like 1 ton per household is the goal if we want to reach our goal, but really we're here to solve a much bigger global problem, and anything you do is a help. So
Okay.
if you're doing nothing now and you do a tiny thing for the next 5 years, that helps. So yeah, encourage people to do whatever they're comfortable with, whether it makes the goal.
And just for clarification though, this is 1 ton per person in the household, isn't it?
Yeah, it is per person, right?
And it's cumulative.
Per person.
In other words, I cut back 500 miles the flying this year, and then next year I go and cut another 500 on top of the 500 I've already
Yeah, it's
cut.
per. So it's 1 ton per person per year.
Per year.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah.
It actually
Over the
makes it,
previous year, yeah.
don't tell anyone that, because then it does seem kind of scary.
Well,
no, but
yeah, it kind of does, but getting that 1 ton is not
Right, that's true.
Because
if you
doesn't
do-
really take much. Yeah.
No, it's true.
I was gonna say though, I don't know if we ever fully answer the question though. If you switch to an electric car, you are saving those tons every single year, right?
That's how, yeah.
So
every year.
Absolutely, you have.
So it's not like it's a
getting that car,
one-time.
You've already jumped to year 8 because
Yeah.
you've cut
Yeah.
8 tons.
Yeah.
Maybe that's worth calling out though. I
think that's a good point, Josh. Yeah.
I totally agree. Let's not say the per person per year thing, but we can make the point. Some of these like count as a credit for as long as you use it. So if you switch to electric car, if you switch from oil to heat pumps, that counts every year because you're replacing what would otherwise make emissions. Some of them you have to keep doing, like flying less each year.
Yeah.
But just like laying it out, like you have a lot of
Quickly
options.
on top of what Josh is saying, that if you do the heat pumps and it's like 7 tons, I mean, if you only have 2 or 4 people in your household, you're actually helping your neighbors. So, those kinds of bigger actions you can do are really helpful to, the people that can't afford to take action or, can't yet do it. So it also has that kind of feel. Okay, I'll shut up.
No, it's great. This is good. Okay, so I'm gonna walk through, how I pledge. And actually, before I continue, theoretically, we would want people every year to come back to this and like pledge again. Like, so when am I going to pledge for 2022? Right.
Yeah.
We should almost be sending an email to all the PFDers from last year and be like, it's time to pledge again.
That will be another discussion, but I would love to get this groups and, whatever kind of group from the task force.
Okay.
We need that for sure.
Okay. All right. So just having that in mind. Okay, so I am a family of 4. All right, so that means my goal is to reduce, at least 4 tons this year. Am I ready to start pledging? Yes. All right. So now we have all those categories that I briefly mentioned before. So I could click on home buildings and there's all these actions, and you can notice right at the top, this is a huge ton savage. If I switch from oil-based heating to heat pumps, I'm going to save 5.5 tons. Remember, I'm a family of 4. So if I have to reduce 4 tons a year, if I switch to heat pumps, I'm already like doing really good. So I already switched to heat pumps. And that was a couple of years. So I'm going to click on this. I already switched away from oil to heat pumps. Let's see. What else? Okay, so going down to, let's see, diet. All right. I'm looking at these different options, and you know what? I think for this year, I'm going to really try to cut down on dairy by 50%. And if I do that, I'm going to just check it, and we see that it's 0.25 pounds. I'm going to go to shopping, and I'm going to just pledge to purchase only used furniture this year. So I'm going to click that, and then I can go next. And then these action items, they don't necessarily have a carbon measurement next to them because they're hard to measure, but they're still actually really good at helping us get towards carbon neutrality. So I'm going to just kind of go down to sequester. And here we have a lot of stuff that has to do with the land. So I'm a big gardener. I'm going to convert part of my lawn to a pollinator pathway, and I'm going to reduce mowing my lawn. And that's about it. Oh, and you know what? I feel like volunteering. So I'm going to call my elected officials and ask them to support climate-friendly policies. So those are the items that I've decided to pledge for this year. So if you notice over here, I have pledged 6 items, and my total would be 5.85 tons of carbon reduced. Is that correct? That seems okay.
I didn't look, hopefully it's correct. But what it also means you can say is that you are reducing more than what is necessary for this year because a household of 4 requires only 4 tons.
Okay. So I am reducing more than a household of 4 requires.
Needs, yeah. So you're kind of helping your neighbors kind of thing.
Kind of helping my neighbors. But as you scroll down, you could see that you could help your neighbors as well. If you can't quite meet your emissions goal, you can donate to the Phillipstown Climate Fund. And if you scroll down, you can make a donation. So, maybe I don't want to donate right now, but I will. I mean, I want to donate.
Can we say that it's not just to meet, it's like you can donate even if you met your amount. It's just like this is like an opportunity to support your neighbors to also.
And I think at this point, when we do the presentations, we'll also be able to say, you may have noticed in the paper that, we've had 2 people win fund awards, which is coming soon. It was just drawn today. So you can kind of refer to the fact that like, this is a real thing. We've already donated $7,000, et cetera. So it's actually a real program.
Perfect. And
almost a real program.
Oh, it's totally a real program. So now, and then I would just fill out my name and information. But if you notice this really cool checkbox right here, we have a team of knowledgeable neighbors who will help you reach your goals. So if you need help immediately, you can check this box and then someone will reach out to you to help you. And then you would just press complete your order. And then, and that is that. And then that is how you pledge.
Well, what are you going to do with my personal information?
I'm going to sell it to Google. Everything is kept secure and confidential,
Yeah.
right?
We just have to, we have to verify residency, and it's good to be able to follow people over time to make sure that what you pledge,
Mhm.
you eventually are able to accomplish. And if you can't accomplish it, then how can we help you accomplish it?
Oh, yeah, so that's a good point. Someone from the Climate Smart Task Force will follow up with you to see if you need any help and to help guide you with any of your pledge actions, right? Because that's
Okay, just a little bit of a curveball here
Yep.
for you, Jocelyn. Is this GDPR compliant?
What the hell does that mean?
Okay, General Data Protection Regulation. It's European Union.
Got a European
So-
in the house.
Yeah.
Seriously, all I'll say is that if there's something at the bottom of the website that it has all this weird data stuff on, but I don't know.
I'm
It's-
sure
it's-
I'm sure we won't get asked, but it's certainly
Well,
some Europeans. It will
But
be
Paul,
fine.
do you think you should just look at the website sometime, not now, and just see, there's some privacy page that you click on and see if it would meet your
Okay,
needs.
I'll take a look at that. I mean, GDPR generally requires that you can tick a box to say I want to be forgotten.
Oh, well, that's
kind of
clearly
option.
not here. That's not here, and we wouldn't. I don't think we would.
Or something like that. Something. I'm just. The only thing is, I think it may only apply for Europeans and and businesses that are selling to or receiving supplies from a European Union citizen. So I don't think it will impact us. But I'll look into it just to double check.
Yeah, if you think that I feel
Mm.
like it's worthwhile, because I mean, even though weirdly people seem to not care about sharing their data all the time, nonstop with all these entities, I think it's still good to tell people as much as we can how much we're going to safeguard their information.
Yeah. And just one other thing, just circling back, Crystal, through how you kind of picked, 5 or 6 individual actions that you took. And this is just a thought. It depends on how each duo wants to work it. I mean, that's one possibility. Another possibility is to gain some interaction from the audience to say, okay, which of these areas, travel, house and home, whatever, which of these areas do you want me to look at closer, and basically do a raise hand vote if you wanted, but that might complicate things a little much.
I was thinking like that, Paul. Okay, so Crystal just did her family of 4, which she really is a family of 4, and she picked things that she's kind of interested in. Depending on how many people are on the webinar, I was just thinking, I would say, all right, who wants to create quick little households for us? And like, let one person raise their hand, let 2 people, 3 or 4 or 5, whoever it is that was willing to be in the audience, a volunteer. And so say you get 3 people. Is that my battery? No, that's yours.
Oh, that's mine.
We're gonna go for a little walk.
3 people raise their hand, like they want to be interactive with us, and and so you type in household of 3, and then you have those 3 kind of look at all the options and pick a few, and it engages them. I guess it all kind of depends on like how many people are in the audience, but it is a way to get them to really look and interact and banter between each other. I don't know. That was a spur of the moment thought, though, not.
I think it also
I-
models the idea of like, use this as a way to talk with your family. Like, don't just fill this out in isolation, have a family conversation about what we want to check off. So you're kind of modeling it with that approach.
I think it sounds a great idea, Jocelyn. I think as we go, we'll learn, won't we, from experiences as to what worked and what didn't work. I just say, to some extent, it's a case of taking the temperature of your audience and deciding the best way.
Wait, so who's first again? Is Crystal first with who?
It's actually not me first. I had it pulled up.
It's Davis and who?
Oh, did we end up having someone? Because I think we're actually still down one. I think it's still Davis and ... I'm like, I'm gonna be
okay.
I wish I could do the 16th.
Well, I have a board meeting, but let's see, I could make Jason do it if there's no town board workshop.
Oh, that's a
scheduled.
Wednesday. Yeah.
But there, of course, he doesn't write anything on our calendar, so I can't tell if there's a workshop, but I'll ask him if there isn't one, we can sign him up.
Okay.
We definitely do not want Davis to have to do it alone.
No. And you know what? I'll text Tara because I put her on this.
Yeah.
She would be great.
Tara would be
it.
great.
So I
Yeah.
just need to confirm, like I hadn't heard back from her, but I could always try.
And tell her we have a video recording that she can watch and, learn all about it.
Exactly. So the other, my other thought was like, I could just basically, or whoever it is that's doing the showing the pledging, you could very much do like thinking out loud, right? Like, oh, I've already made the switch, I have an electric car. So like, what's the next thing I can do on my list? I don't know. Is that too like humble braggy? I don't want to, but I also want it to be like this for the people out there who are like, well, I've already done everything. And you're like, well, so there are literally 80 things that you can do. So
yeah, I would say I would probably avoid using the really big ones as examples so as to not intimidate, because yeah, electric car is really expensive, as is, 3 heat pumps for your house. So I think what we should do is continually emphasize the flexibility. You can do a little, you can do a lot, you can do whatever makes sense for you financially, like logistically, whatever. We're here. That's why we give you 80 options, is because if you think you've already done everything, there's always something else you could do. And if you've never done anything, you have 80 options. You can start with the small ones and work your way up, or whatever you want to do it.
Yep. And it's so important to emphasize that, a lot of these actions actually are low, no cost actions. So
yeah, I think that will pleasantly surprise a lot of people. And the other point, as we say, this is a in some ways this is a marathon, not a sprint, although I wouldn't want to totally kind of intimidate people at the prospect of a marathon, but I mean, it's something that's going to take time. It's a year after year endeavor.
So moving on. Oh yeah, sorry. No,
sorry. I mean, coming back to what Jocelyn said, I'm just trying to think on how sort of easy it would be to sort of pull somebody in from the audience. One possibility is if it's Crystal and Crystal's done the initial presentation and she said, okay, well, Paul, it's over to you now. Take us through some of the actions you are planning to take in 2022. At that juncture, he could say, well, unless somebody else from the audience, we want to kind of walk you through. And if somebody's prepared to volunteer, then basically I or Crystal then we pose the questions. Okay, which area do you want to look at? You want to look at transportation? Okay, which of these things here strikes you as being something that's realistic, something you might be able to commit to? I don't know. Again, I'm not so sure about having the 3. I think easier if it's just pulling out an individual person who's quite keen to go through it, not necessarily the whole thing, but I mean, parts of it. Anyway, just a
logistical question. Do we need to indicate that these are examples so as to not taint our data pool?
Yeah,
so when we go to the website and submit stuff.
Yeah,
anything that shows up on that day during that time, I'll be able to delete. Knowing that it was I mean, I guess on that last page Crystal was on, you'd have to enter your name and information for it to submit. So I would know at that point you would put your name, or you'd put a funny name and I'd know, or Eric, the dispatcher, would know.
Right. Nice.
Paul, what we could do is we walk through the example and then pull someone from the audience and then walk with them through it.
Yeah, I think you're likely to have the time to do that. And if you pull one or even two people from the audience, where you maybe you just get them to focus on, here's the drop down list of different areas, which one do you want to have a look at, and which kind of actions might you be willing to pledge? Yeah. Okay, there's a lot of options, a lot of different.
I know. I just thought of another random option, which, depending on how many people are in your audience, you could say, okay, everyone go to phillipstown530.org. Okay, now click on this, and you can make them go through it. It depends on who's there, but we could have them have that screen up. I don't know. Wait, I couldn't see the names. Laura, am I with you?
I think it would be good to give them that option.
If you hate it, you won't worry unless you want to.
No, I mean, I think they're all good ideas. I feel like some people might be a little deer in headlights with all of this.
Yeah, I agree.
Like go through the whole thing and see it first, and then maybe if there's time, say, okay, let's go through again with someone as an example, or but
no, but I like also, Laura, your idea, which is like, do this with your family, don't do it alone. So yeah.
I guess the other thing that we could potentially do is, like, we could take someone's already existing pledges and obviously not name them, but give examples of, like, like, this person in the community is pledged. I don't know. Anyways, give examples of what other people have pledged without naming them.
I do think it's good, though, if you can do something live, as opposed to just a finished ta-da is the finished product. And hopefully there will be time to pull a person or a couple of persons in, and we can populate the page for them as they call out and say, hey, I tick this box, and then see what kind of ton amount they come up with. But I do think it's a good idea. Like Laura says, there's going to be a lot of people with deer in the headlights kind of thing going on, but then there are going to be some who, hey, I want to get started on this already, so just show me the link and I can start going through it in parallel with the demonstration.
So in case we have, like, no takers in the audience and we still have time, but maybe both co-presenters should then do the pledging. Does that sound like good? So that way they have two examples.
Yeah.
I feel like they should have two examples just to show, like, how, different people choose different things. And big and small, like, mowing your lawn less doesn't cost anything. It's awesome.
And then of course it becomes a competition. So Paul, you've just done your pledge and you've got 3 tons. Well, here I am and I've got 20 tons.
So if that sounds good, like, if nobody from the audience wants to volunteer, then we have the second person jump in and do their pledging.
And in reality, each of us could really do our 2022 pledge. Right?
Exactly.
So because supposedly we've all done our the previous year, and this is kind of leading up, so it doesn't have to be fake. You could actually we could each talk it over with our households, and then really have our pledge ready to go.
No, the only thing I wanted to mention, Jocelyn, because when I was looking through it earlier, is that I wish there was, like, an other write-in category, because I'm replacing my stove and there's nothing about replacing your gas stove.
Totally. You and your induction stoves.
I mean, apparently everyone.
Can you believe there were 2 letters to the editor?
I know. I was like, thanks, people.
Thanks a lot, Beavis. You know how many times I've gone to Beavis's house and he's like, do you know about induction stoves, my heart? And I'm like, yes, you've told me a million times. And of course he caught that in the paper and crazy. Sorry.
Oh man. Yeah. I was like, all right, I guess it means people are reading it.
Definitely. That's good. Good point.
So then the last phase would just be to explain the climate fund, talk about, so if you can't quite meet your goal of doing 4 tons a year, or if you are feeling like you want to offset even more, you can donate to the Phillipstown Climate Fund. And the Phillipstown Climate Fund is there to help our neighbors transition off of fossil fuels. And sorry, I'm just trying to move it so I can read it. Okay. Money the money raised through the Climate Fund will be awarded to lower income households in Phillipstown to help them take measurable steps to reduce their carbon footprint by replacing fossil fuel-based equipment like electric heat pumps, electric hot water heaters, induction or electric oven, stovetops, and smart thermostats.
Earlier today, you spoke about the possibility of adding weatherization
Yes.
to the next round. Did you want to mention that at this point, or does it not matter?
Well, that's a good question. So Jocelyn, I don't know if I talked to you about this beforehand, but
Yeah, no, we talked about
we talked about it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like obviously weatherization is a first step. It's a sticky, expensive step that the award limit really depends on how big the household is or the house square footage is, that is, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas one heat pump is on average $3,900, right? So you can really put a limit on it, whereas weatherization is very variable. But I think that's one of the most, obviously we all think, right? That's one of the most important steps. Yeah. So I don't see why we wouldn't add it in. I think it's just figuring out how do we communicate an award limit, or an award maximum for a weatherization project. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Even if you keep crystal slide, I can just say, and we know that there's things missing on this, and so we hope in the future we raise more funds to include, things like weatherization on our list.
So, and the way the award system works is that once we have enough money collected in our pot, we then hold a lottery for all the applications, and we just randomly select the winner, and they then they get the I'm sorry, I'm fading. It's like 7:30, 8 o'clock. I will definitely finesse how I say that better. And in fact, I will make sure that everybody has like a little blurb about the Climate Fund and how the selection process works. It's probably right, I guess, for
on the call on each webinar, one of us from the fund committee is on it. So we can just
okay.
Just so you don't have to do another thing like meeting.
Okay.
So I know, so I can speak on the Climate Fund, so you don't have to even study it.
So then should
there's a household income limit to apply, right?
Yes.
Income of 113.
Got it. Because there might be, could be people that may want to apply, and that's fine. I think we can just say like, you can donate or you can apply, but there is, you need to have a household income that's below the median of 113.
You can even donate and apply, right? You can give $50 and then also be within under that median. Like the point is to try to help people who want to take action and have said, I really don't want to shell that money out.
That's how Jocelyn wins in Vegas. Hedges or bets.
So
a true statistician.
So we actually held our first drawing on March 2nd, and we were able to award 2 people, 2 households.
Dude, that was today. It was earlier today. You've already skipped ahead a day, first of all.
Wait, what day is it?
It was like 5 hours ago that you selected the winners.
I thought it was March 2nd today. I don't even know what day it is. We're March 1st.
I hear you. You're ready for March 2nd where the masks come off. I hear you.
Yeah, I'm about ready to like not bring my kids to school anymore. I'm sorry.
Don't get me started.
I'm sorry. I don't even want to go there. So on March 1st, we were able to draw based on how much funds we had raised. We were able to draw 2 winners who are going to be able to get a heat pump and a hot water heater. And we are currently raising funds for our next round. And we are very much hoping to raise $10,000 for Earth Day so we can select a few more Phillipstown residents to help them make the transition off of fossil fuels. So give money. All right, now we're going to open it up for questions and answers. And should upcoming events come before questions and answers? Yes. Okay.
Swap it. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So then, we're going to be holding these webinars for the next 3 Wednesdays. If you feel like you want to come back again to learn more, please join us or spread the word. We're going to have an Earth Day fair in person in conjunction with the Cold Spring Farmers Market at Boscoville House and Gardens. More information to come. The end.
Crystal, I so love that you were willing to do a run through. I think that's so important and really good of you. I always appreciate all your work.
No, I figured like this is the first time we're like doing something like this that I'm like, if I didn't do a run through, it's
great. I love that you did that.
No, that's very helpful.
Yeah,
I do suspect, one of the first things that's going to crop up. I'm just trying to imagine somebody that's kind of pretty new to all this stuff. They're going to want to know where they are right now, and I think that the reference and jumping on to the website to show them how they calculate their carbon footprint useful.
Okay.
I'm not therefore suggesting that we go through and do a 101 on how to calculate your carbon footprint, but I'd be inclined to sort of make that little detour to show them, even if the question didn't come up. And the other thing is, when you get a lot of people with carbon footprints and they go, oh, well, I don't know, the exact amount of this and that. And quite frankly, I just say, well, neither do I. I just estimate on a lot of them. I don't take long to calculate my carbon footprint, because if there's any difficult stuff in there, I just guesstimate it. And generally you can get reasonably close. It doesn't have to be spot on.
Yeah, you're right.
I think another thing to say is there's no reason.
I got bogged down, it became too difficult to complete. And I think they're just over-engineering it.
I think that's why we could say to them, we don't want to discourage people from doing it, but we could say, this is why we're providing you with the estimate that it's about 1 ton per person over 20 years in our town based on real data. So if you don't feel like you have the time to do it, use that as your goal. It's easy. It's like easy to remember, not easy to do, but et cetera, et cetera.
And I can't remember if we.
Is Davis going to listen through all this?
He's definitely.
So Davis is first. He's first up.
Okay, I'll give you $20, Davis, if you get here. Let's see. You have to email me and ask me for the $20.
This is great. Perfect. So then, so we leave it open for questions and answers. And and I forgot to I should have just highlighted when we were looking at the pledge page, just sort of point out this is how many people in the town have pledged. This is how many so pointing out the collective action of it. We'll make sure. I think we should make sure to be so far we've offset this amount. 272 people have pledged, make pledges, or we have 272 pledges, I should say.
Also, just on this slide, since it's still up, first of all, get out of the slides once we get to the discussion section. That's
Got
always
it.
what I forget to do when I'm in
Okay.
Zoom.
Mhm.
But also, there's a typo, so just click to change it to someone, since you're in there.
Ah, where am I now? Want to talk to someone.
But I mean, how many times have I been like blabbing on,
Yeah.
leaving the presentation up so you can't really see the people?
That's a good
So
point.
I think that's the partner's job to remind,
Mm.
you know, to look out for that.
All right. Okay, stopping my share. Good, very good point. Very good point. Awesome. Yeah.
Do we have any
this is-
signups yet? I guess, or not
I'll
yet.
reach out to Karen. So actually the next thing I need to do is I'm gonna make sure that it gets into the paper, the calendar section. I was thinking of maybe seeing if someone can like whip up like a quick flyer.
No,
about it.
we'll do that.
Okay,
Jason
cool.
and I will whip up a flyer
Good.
and pay for a couple of newspaper ads
Okay.
and pass it on to you all, probably, you know, so you can post to the Facebook, et cetera, social media sources we have.
Great.
And I think, you know, if Paul wants to run through the neighborhoods again with flyers, I would pay for all those flyers to be printed up. As you run by, you can be tossing flyers. But anyway, we can get to
Yeah. Yeah.
but hopefully there'll be something like in print. I mean, I'm gonna write a press release. Chip will never run it, but why not just write it and see?
Yeah.
You know,
Well, it's
Yeah,
in
I
my
can-
it's in my article
true.
that
Good.
and that should be coming out in March, like in 2 weeks. So it'll come out right before our event.
Good. And Doug is always desperate for content, so he might
Yeah.
actually run the press release.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
happy to do the drop in those 3 communities that I did the last time.
Great. And one last thing, which I hope would interest everyone here too, is it's been kind of hectic at schools at Haldane and Guffs these days, but I'm hoping that the week before April break, we can get the principals at each school to allow a couple of us in, either via Zoom or otherwise, to do this, right? Like a presentation to kids about like taking climate action, et cetera. So as a way to kind of drum up participation for the Earth Day event or to try to sign up. So once I talk to, you know, the superintendents to make sure we can try to plan something, I would love it if anyone here, especially who's like kind of already going to done a webinar, might want to join in the school efforts.
I think that's a great idea, because that means the kids can go home and teach and cajole the parents into doing this stuff if they're not already.
Love it.
I know.
Love it.
I know, Laura, you were really
Greta
involved with the
Thunberg
Haldane
style,
group,
I
right?
guess.
Yeah, I haven't in a while.
Well, anyway, I mean,